What's up, Yuma? I'm Johnny Porter.
And I'm Victor Calderon. On today's show, we'll have Lori Franklin from the Yuma Police Department. Maybe she'll talk about some traffic tickets that Johnny has. And we'll also talk to Laura Torres. She's with Campesinos Sin Fronteras. And she lives in Utah now, so we'll talk to her about what's up with that.
So stay with us for What's Up Yuma Radio, beginning right now on KOFA 94.7 FM.
And streaming online at borderradioaz.org and on the KOFA app. You can also view our show on the Border Radio Facebook page and the KAWC YouTube page. And don't forget, you can reach out to us by email at whatsupyumaradio@gmail.com.
What's Up Yuma is sponsored by High Tanks Brewing Company, serving up scratch-made food, craft beers, and experiences at 2 desert locations in Welton. More at hightanks.com.
Chili from Philly. Unique Papa Giorgio from Yuma.
What's up, Yuma? You're listening to What's Up Yuma Radio. I'm Victor Calderon.
And I'm Alexandra Rangel.
And I have some local sports news. I have an update. So as our listeners and viewers know, I've been talking about it before, but we have a guy who went here to AWC, played basketball. He's from New Jersey. And he ended up here at AWC. His name is Yaxel Lendeborg. So he plays for the University of Michigan. And last night, Michigan beat UConn in the national championship.
Oh, wow.
So in other words, Yuma has a national champion. So tomorrow on our show, we'll have the head coach, Kyle Isaacs, to talk about how he recruited him, what he was like here. If he still is in contact with him, I want to know how that is. And so, very cool news that, someone who spent time in Yuma, made it to the big stage for good news.
No, definitely. Gives motivation to the kids here right now.
Yes, very much so. And like the coach has said, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow, you can come here to Arizona Western College and you can, the sky's the limit, right? Whether it's sports, academics. So that'll be tomorrow.
Although, he did disappoint some of the Arizona fans.
I know, yes. Yeah, that's the bad part of it is that in order to become national champion, he had to beat Arizona. So all the Wildcats fans in town, that wasn't good. But good that he won in the end. And if we had to lose to somebody, he's a national champion now. So, but our guests today are Police Chief Thomas Garrity and Lori Franklin, Public Affairs Sergeant for the Yuma Police Department. Thank you for being here this morning.
Good morning.
Well, thank you for having us on. We really appreciate this.
Yes, and Chief, you've been on here before, but so as you know, we like to get to know our guests before we get into what's going on now with the Yuma Police Department. But remind our listeners and viewers how long you've been with the department and where you're originally from.
So just a little over 3 years. So I started in January 23. Mm-hmm. I did a little over 32 years in a place called Prince William County, which is about 30 miles south of D.C. A lot of people in Yuma may know it because Quantico is there. I know some people don't have memorable, good memories of Quantico, but, that's what kind of drew me here.
Sure. And then so when you were looking into the position, what attracted you to Yuma?
The community. I know that talking to some friends that had been out here in Yuma, they talked about the closeness of the community. They did warn me about the weather. Mm-hmm. Of course, I didn't believe them until the first summer.
Yeah.
But, being here, it lived well past what they were explaining to me. Just how the community supports each other, how this community supports law enforcement, and just it's a great community to live in. And they always say that people leave Yuma for bigger, better things, but they always come back, and you can see why they come back. And I look forward to the day that nobody has to leave Yuma, that their amenities, the businesses and stuff are here.
Yes. So are you originally from the East Coast, or where are you from?
Yes, from the mountains of Pennsylvania, so the coal mines of the Appalachia.
Mm-hmm. And so when you were on last time, I think it was Johnny and another co-host, but when you were growing up, were you into law enforcement? Did you think you might be a police officer? That's something that, a lot of kids say, oh, I want to be a cop someday. Is that something, or maybe family?
I have no family in law enforcement, and it's just, I did a lot of service with the military. And it was weird as I was looking for another job in the military, and one of the things is that you have to write an essay of what you want to do. And so I wrote the essay, and they come back to me and they go, you don't want this job. You want to be a police officer. Mm-hmm. And so that's just like, yeah, you know what? That is something I want to do.
Yeah. So you went out to academy out there and went through the process? Okay. And so we also have Lori Franklin, Public Affairs Sergeant for the Yuma Police Department. Same questions. So where are you from originally?
Upstate New York, outside of Rochester, a little town outside of Rochester. 18, I joined the Marine Corps and did 20 years in the Marine Corps. This was my last duty station. I had family out here.
Okay.
My kids were in school. My son was in high school. My daughter was in middle school. So if I retired, I would have probably had to go back East Coast, and I didn't want to do that to them. Somebody I worked with was a reserve deputy with the Sheriff's Department and said, hey, why don't you get into law enforcement? So I took the part-time academy here, became post-certified by the time I retired, and got right into YPD.
Yeah. Wow. So you've been with YPD for some years now. How have you seen the department change, for good or for bad over the years?
I just hit 23 years
Always
last
good.
month, and I mean, when we started, we had the Crown Vics. We didn't have computers in the car. You had like little sticky notepads you had to write the addresses down on. So now we've got computers. They got the GPS. You're no longer using the phone book and trying to figure out where you're going. But modern technology, a lot of modern technology. We got the drones now. We went from just drug canines to now we got patrol canines. The cars are better, SUVs and stuff. So, I mean, a lot of technology has happened.
What did you start as? Was it a police officer?
Yeah, I started as a police officer, and then I was a field training officer. Then I was a motor officer. Then I went back to a field training officer, got promoted to sergeant, and then made my way to public affairs and have been there.
How many women were on the department back then?
Gosh, there was a handful, maybe 10, 12.
And now, is it looking better?
Well, so one of the things the department did was sign on to, there's a program called 30 by 30, which is what we look to do is 30% of women police officers in the force. 3 years ago, we were around 10%. We're now up to about 14.5 to 15%. And it's not that you're a woman, we're hiring you. No, we still have the standards and all that. But what we've done is we've made staying in the police department more family oriented, more towards like what do people want to stay. And so that's what we're dealing with. But we're also dealing with culture.
Yeah.
I mean, the American culture is the mother usually stays at home or police work is a dangerous job.
Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah.
So they do, it's like, I want to protect my kids, that type of thing. But, we are trying to make our department friendly to everyone and especially to women.
One thing I wanted to mention, so you mentioned you were a motor officer, and in doing my research for today's show, I noticed that it said on the website for YPD that you were the first female motor officer. Is that correct?
And first and only, yeah.
Yeah. So what was that like, maybe, this was about 2011 or so?
That was the best job I had at the department. I mean, I'm a tall girl, and you have to be able to pick the bike up from both sides. So I had that going for me, but it was fun. That was when I graduated through the motor school. It was like awesome, but just being out there riding and stuff like that, it was so cool. And like when you're done at the end of the day, all the stuff just blows off you on the way home. It was hot. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
It was summer months were my skinny months. But no, it was fun. And you're educating the public on traffic violations and stuff like that. But it was just a whole different area, getting to do accidents. You either like accidents or you don't, and it's a lot of paperwork. So, if you focus on something that you're not good at and then you get into it, they become really easy. So, yeah, it's helping people.
Yeah, and I know talking about that, a lot of complaints people have is that people that run the red lights. So, like, if you live in Yuma for some time, even if the light changes, wait. Or even if the light becomes green for you, you got to wait a few minutes because there's always going to be one or two cars that take that red light.
Straggling along, yep.
Yeah.
Speeding along.
Exactly.
Defensive driving. She talks about the motors and writing tickets but it has its own dangers. And that is you're riding on a motorcycle. And as we've seen recently, all these motorcycle crashes. Cars don't see them. They end up where they're used to seeing a car. We had another one this morning.
We had another one this morning.
Where a car just did a U-turn in front of the motorcycle. They didn't see him. Wow. And so, that's the one thing that we're telling everybody is please pay attention to the motorcyclist. Look before you do things, but also, as far as the motorcyclist, be cognizant that you may not be seen. So do what you can to do things safely.
Right. And I think that the message, of course, is always just take your time, right? Nothing is that important where, what's the saying what the police say? Like, it's better to make it there late than not to make it at all.
Yeah.
Correct.
Arrive alive.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do.
Very much so. And so, Lori, I want to ask you, because you said you've been here with the department 23 years, and then so you said this was also your last deployment here in Yuma at MCAS. How have you seen the community change over the year? Maybe in regards to also law enforcement and like the relationship that the public has.
Being in the Marine Corps for 20 years and being in different military towns, this by far is the most military-friendly, law enforcement-friendly. I mean, if you even go out to the Veterans Day Parade, you will see it is packed up and down the streets. There's a lot of veterans here, and MCAS Yuma is a small base as far as permanent personnel, but it's very big because of bombing ranges. And then you got YPG, but I mean, the community is very, very military friendly. And as far as what we find, very law enforcement friendly. Like when COVID was going on, the cakes, the cookies, the sandwiches, everything that gets delivered on Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, people bring kids, they'll come in with cakes and stuff. And it's wonderful. It really is. And we get out there to as many events as we can get so that you get the chance to talk to a police officer in a good light, not during the worst time of your life. But the town out west has grown. It's all houses now. The east has grown so much. Now we're growing south. I mean, it's so many more people that are here, and the traffic is ridiculous.
Yes, and I've been here about 10 years, lived here in Yuma County, so I know, people have that relationship with law enforcement because it's a small community, right? You go to the store, you're going to see like Border Patrol, you're going to go to a restaurant, you're going to see Border Patrol, police. We're all eating at the same restaurants and shopping at the same stores. And also you do community events like Coffee with a Cop. Talk about that and sort of how that sort of helps as well, like you said, where you're meeting in a friendly environment and setting instead of, someone's arrested or they just had a car crash or something.
Right. It's allowing the public to come in and sit down and talk with us. Give us your concerns, talk to us about whatever you want to. We have the Coffee with the Cops. We had a Pizza with the Cop.
We have Pizza with the Cop because that's my favorite.
Can't go wrong.
But every fall in October, we have the Gain event, which is down in the Target parking lot, which is all of our Yuma County law enforcement, first responders. I mean, they bring out all the fancy equipment, but you can climb up into it. You can talk to the officers. You meet the canines. You meet everybody out there, and it's a great event to be able to talk to our community. But they can bring their concerns to us, or just say, "Hey, thank you," and we get to know them and get to know certain things. A lot of people having kids like maybe with autism and stuff, and saying, "Hey, what can we do?" And what a lot of people don't know is that we can actually flag your address if there's a concern saying, well, my child's autistic and maybe we have this type of concern. We can actually flag that so the officers will know if they have to go there that, they have a child that's on the spectrum there. So we have a lot of services available. So we try to get it out as much as we can, and we put stuff on Facebook, but they don't always see it. So the more we can spread the news, the better.
And what I think is important is that what's different about Yuma than other places, maybe like the Valley or some other larger cities, is that the officers are community members. And so they care about the community. They're the ones that are dealing with their neighbors. They're the ones that are dealing with the shop owners. And so, it's a little bit more personal connection. And, it doesn't have to be like, I'm sorry, you're under arrest. There can be things that can be worked out in different ways to get around it. When she talks about autism affects a lot of the Yuma community, if not the United States. But so, we had a sergeant in charge of our SROs who went out and worked with the PAU to get sensory kits. And so all of our SROs have sensory kits. We're working with Arizona DMV for the Blue Envelope program. And actually our Autism Walk is this Saturday, our Autism Awareness. And we're going to be out there, and we're going to be educating the public on the blue envelope. Basically, you can have your information in there, but it also gives us the officer who's coming up, hey, look, this person, we have some sort of special needs for this person that we're coming up on, and so that way they engage, and it's not a standoffish thing. It's not that type of thing, and I just think it's our officers, our public safety staff, our professional staff, that being part of the community, they want us to be the best. And so they're looking for ways that we can better serve the community.
All right. Well, so we're going to get into that. We'll get into other events that the YPD is having coming up, but we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back with that on the other side on What's Up Yuma Radio.
Welcome to KAWC's The Hotspot.
I'm Chloe Michael.
And I'm Maya Manry. This week, we're seeing if a certain feeling is shared. Is the vibe off?
I'd certainly say so.
At the beginning of the semester, it was packed, but like half the people are not there.
The show is available as a podcast or online at kawc.org under the shows tab.
Bringing the heat to Yuma and La Paz, it's
The Hotspot.
You are tuned to 94.7 FM KOFA Border Radio. I'm Cecilia Holland-Braithwaite from the KAWC Newsroom. We expect another sunny day in Yuma with an afternoon high of 96 degrees. Winds are calm, becoming north at 5 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight with a low around 62 degrees. This week, cities across the state are participating in the first Arizona Tech Week. Locally, Yuma and San Luis are participating through a number of events, including a Yuma Hackathon and Pitch Your Tech podcast at KAWC. More details can be found online at kawc.org.
What's Up Yuma Radio is sponsored in part by Nova Home Loans, serving Yuma County and nearby communities. Nova Home Loans offers residential lending services, including home loans and refinancing. They are also proud supporters of local community efforts and organizations. More information is available at novahomeloansyuma.com.
For over 55 years, Border Radio KOFA has been a voice for music and culture in the region. We play indie, soul, funk, world beats, and more, plus local stories and live sessions. Tune in live at 94.7 FM, on demand at borderradioaz.org or on the KOFA app and discover your next favorite song.
What's up, Yuma? We're here with Yuma Police Chief Thomas Garrity and Sergeant Lori Franklin. Sergeant Franklin, I wanted to ask you, so Alexander and I, we know you as, you're the point of contact usually with local reporters. How did you get into that? Public affairs.
I was voluntold.
Yeah. And so that's been about, how long have you been in this position?
10 years.
10 years. So, you've known us and other reporters have come
can you
through.
explain what is it that you do? You're usually the one that the public sees on TV.
Yeah, so anytime like a serious accident, a homicide, any big event happens, we do the press releases, which is getting with investigations or the traffic unit to make sure that we have all the correct information and we can get it out to the public. I started the Facebook page, I believe, in 2016. So that started our Facebook page, and then we wound up getting Twitter and stuff along with that. So we do the press releases, we do events. So they call me if, hey, a school wants to have an event, or say there's an RV park that wants safety briefs for the older citizens that we have. So we'll go in and we'll put on a safety brief for them. We go to schools, we go to Rotary clubs, we go to all different things. We do our Citizens Academy. We started the Teen Academy, and now we've kind of given that to the SROs. We still assist with applications and stuff. It's anything community-oriented is what we do.
How do you handle like that fine balance? I know when it's a big case, it gets a lot of attention. People want information, and you can't always give it all. How do you handle that balance?
So again, if we get contacted by the media saying, hey, what's going on over there, I will give them a very brief thing, because even I don't know the answers. people want answers like right now, but the fact is that if I bother the detectives or the officers or the traffic guys out there, I'm keeping them from doing that job. So they need to do that. If there's something really big and the public is going to be in danger, we're going to put it out there immediately. When they had the school shooting incident at Gila Ridge, or we were, gosh dang, the car that was speeding all over town and in the county, we put it right out there alerting our public. But if it's a traffic accident or maybe it's a homicide scene, if our community is in danger, we're going to put out there like, hey, look, this is what we're looking for. If it's contained, we want to make sure we get the accurate information to give to you guys, because putting out half of something it's not right.
Right.
So we may give the media just a little bit to start with, but then when I get all the information, we will put it together. I'll run it through them to make sure I have the correct information, and then we put it out to the public.
And also in that is that the accused has certain rights. And
They
so
do.
there's certain things that we cannot put out because that would jeopardize his right to a fair trial.
Right.
And that's the hard balancing test that Lori has to do.
Very much so. So we bring that up because there was recently a press release that was put out about an incident of stalking.
A shocking press release, I will add.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so briefly remind our listeners and viewers about that case.
Yeah, so we had a young lady who had an incident with a male that she met online, and it started like 6 years ago, started interacting online. The person became kind of clingy, so to say. So it was kind of like, oh, back off a little bit, and they didn't like that. So the male subject that she was talking with started doing some disturbing things and sending some disturbing messages, so she kind of blocked them. It kind of escalated from there. Long story short, he wound up flying to the States 3 times between 2022 and 2026 to actually see her, stalk her for several days, and then fly back to
Denmark?
Denmark,
yeah.
To Denmark. And he was a juvenile at the time, too. They were both juveniles. And now he's an adult, 19, she's 21, the victim is. The last time he came across was this fall, actually registered in a local school, and again, doing disturbing things and stalking. The FBI wound up getting involved in it. They were the ones that actually tracked the plane back and forth through...
Is it Interpol or one of those?
Yeah. But using as a passport and
Okay.
stuff. So we got all that and the dates and times, which kind of coincide where when she thought she was being stalked, they actually found him, arrested him, and they booked him. And with the probable cause that was received was that he was actually stalking and really doing some vile threats that we actually have copies of, so we can prove that he did that.
Oh my goodness. How was he able to enroll into the school?
He was an adult, so he could actually I don't have the information, but I mean, maybe if you're claiming that I didn't have a high school diploma or something, that's the disturbing part, is that, you're online, you don't know who these people are. You don't even know what country they're from. And if you think just because they're in a different country that you're safe in the United States, it's obviously not, because he came across 3 times.
And this girl, she was young at the time when it started.
Was a
she
juvenile.
sharing her location on this app? Like, how did this man know to come here?
So that actually, if you don't turn off those notifications on your apps, it will say where you're at.
Oh, wow.
The thing is, parents, yes, you want to be your child's friend, but you got to be a parent first.
Sure?
You got to sit there, look at their social media. There's plenty of parental controls.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know these kids probably know how to get around it, but you've still got to be the parent. You still got to be the one. I'd rather have my kid mad at me and have him yell at me than not be able to talk to them ever again.
Yeah.
Well, it's also you putting out, I mean, I'm going to have my birthday party over here. you're putting it on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever you're doing, people are seeing that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on vacation from this day. I'm
Exactly,
going here. You know,
yes.
it's like, well, if anybody knows where you live, then they know that your house is going to
I'm
be
very
vacant.
cautious about that stuff. Even like something simple, if you're like out for a walk in your neighborhood and you're posting a picture of the street, you can see the street sign
Yeah.
or something that is something someone will recognize.
Identifiable.
Yeah. I think people need to be so much more cautious about that than we are.
I think that's the message, is just to be safe with what you put online and be be rather safe than sorry.
99% of the people are not problems. And
Yeah.
so, putting that out would be, to a normal person, they don't think about that.
Yeah.
But that person who's stalking or has some other criminal intent, they're looking for that.
Sure. So we want to get to lighter news. So we want to talk about events that are coming up for the Yuma Police Department, and as we talked about, fun events or good events that bring the community together. So let's start with the law enforcement torch run that's coming up.
Next Thursday, we have the law enforcement torch run. It's going to actually start down in San Luis around 6 a.m., and it's going to come all the way down Avenue B, cross up the First Street, and go up to the Heritage Park up there. Ends about 10 o'clock. That is good. We got all the different law enforcement agencies within our community that are going to get together and run certain legs, and we're going to have some of our athletes running with us, too.
And that's for Special Olympics, like,
Correct.
To remind our
And when we talk about Special Olympics, that the Yuma Police Department was number 2 last year in fundraising.
Incredible.
And that is a big shout out to the Yuma community. We have different events throughout the year for that, but to be number 2 for, again, as small as Yuma is, that's great. And the one big thing to understand is 100% of those donations stay in Yuma.
Yes. Let's also talk about the drug take back that's coming up. Anyone want to jump in?
That's on the 25th, Saturday the 25th. It's going to be from 10 to 2 out in front of our police department. Bring all of your expired or unneeded prescription drugs. Can be over-the-counter drugs, too, if you just don't know what to do with it. We can't take needles and we can't take liquids. But bring it to us. You just have to drive around. You have to get out of your car. We'll put it in the bag for you. But we're collecting that, and it will be turned in to be destroyed.
How is the participation in that? Do you get a lot of people coming out because it happens often?
We do. It happens twice a year. But so we used to have a tape back box in our vestibule at the police department, but because of cost and destroying stuff like that, the DEA is now no longer taking all of our boxes that we've collected. So now they're having the 2 a year. So again, bring it in. We'll collect. I mean, we can collect anywhere from 8 to 15 boxes. So it's a lot. But like I said, just get it out, especially in the beginning. It's like usually in October. So we're collecting stuff as people are coming in, cleaning out their medicine cabinets. But when we have our yearly visitors leaving, now they can clean out their medicine cabinets again and get rid of it in a much safer way.
All right. And last event program we wanted to bring up was the Teen Academy. So tell our listeners and viewers how they can get information on that.
We're accepting applications right now. So if you go onto our Facebook page, it'll tell you send us emails if you want an application. We can send it to you digitally, or you can come to the police department, pick up a paper copy, fill it out. And we're going to have 2 different age groups starting in June and I think July. It's like a 3-day event. It was very well accepted last year and the year before, so we get a lot of applications for that. But it's allowing your teen to, again, get to know our officers, but get to know what we do. They'll do some exercises and some hands-on stuff, so it's just fun.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about that, Chief?
No, it's just a great way that, we can sit here and we can go and tell the kids, this is what we do. But for them to actually see it, so now they actually become ambassadors for us. And that to me is important, is they learn exactly what the police do, why they do what they do, because that's always a question, much like our Citizens Academy. And we just hope that at some point that they become police officers.
Great.
or work for the police department because there's many other jobs
Right,
inside.
there's civilian jobs or like non-officer,
Non-sworn,
there's
yeah.
the desk jobs, as they say on TV, right? So in closing, please let our listeners and viewers know how they can get more information, the website, social media you want to promote.
We have a Facebook page and a Twitter page. We have the website. You can call us anytime to get information on any of these things.
Can I just say one more
Yes.
thing about the Autism Awareness Walk this Saturday at 7 a.m., I believe is when it starts?
I think it's 8 a.m. over down at the river.
8 a.m. at the river?
Yes.
Okay.
And it just to raise awareness for autism, and that just so we can see if we can stop this from affecting others.
All right. Well,
I think
Chief.
starting at 9, I have it here.
9?
Okay. 7, 8, 9, 9. Final answer?
We have to be there at 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of us
yeah.
have to.
At Gateway Park, yeah.
Show up early if you want. All right, Chief Thomas Garrity, Sergeant Lori Franklin, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys.
And when we come back, we'll have Laura Torres from Campesinos Sin Fronteras on What's Up Yuma Radio.
What's Up Yuma is sponsored by the 2 Welton locations of High Tanks Brewing Company, its craft brewery and tap room, featuring scratch-made food and handcrafted beers, including Daphne's Date Ale and the Gila Hazy IPA. Also, live music and experiences such as farm tours and glamping are available. More at hightanks.com.
From KAWC News, I'm Cisco Stargazer. This week, cities across the state are holding events to participate in the very first Arizona Tech Week. Powered by the Arizona Commerce Authority, the week's a decentralized conference meant to quote-unquote elevate Arizona's profile as a leading state in technology. Locally, Yuma and San Luis are participating through a couple events. On Tuesday, the Yuma Hackathon takes place at 4 p.m., where students will partake in a beginner-friendly Capture the Flag cybersecurity competition. On Wednesday at 1 p.m., the Yuma Center of Excellence for Desert Agriculture is holding a session on Yuma's ag-tech opportunity ecosystem. And at 5, San Luis Middle School will be giving away 300 Chromebooks for 7th graders at their STEM Career Pathways event. On Thursday, Crane Middle School will be doing the very same from 5 to 7 p.m. Learn more about all of this week's events at kawc.org. From KAWC News, I'm Cisco Stargazer.
From KAWC, this is Siendo Primero. I'm Sajei Bárcenas.
And I'm Melanie Ruiz Lopez. In this episode, we'll be talking about AI, artificial intelligence.
I use AI all the time to help me with difficult questions, coming up with study prompt.
There's a lot of questions that I had, and I was able to use AI for it.
I do let students in that class use it to translate.
A new energy with the same mission.
To give students a voice.
Addie PAX hosts their annual 5K run and walk on Saturday, April 18th at the West Wetlands Park. Funds from the event will provide support and comfort for families with critically ill children, including navigating hospital stays, medical appointments, and daily life with a sick child. Details by searching for Addie PAX on Facebook.
I'm Public Radio Runner. Join me for Bonus Smiles, the show sharing the stories and playlists that fuel runners. Why? Because the rando cheering you on at a mile 77 aid station is the same kind of person who supports local public radio. Join us every Saturday at 5 a.m. on KOFA at 94.7 FM for stories that soothe and jams that power long runs.
I use KAWC almost on a daily basis in my car. It's the background for chores around my house. And I go to the website and look for stories that are of interest, and I listen to podcasts. I look to the news on NPR because I'm looking for something beyond the headline or a soundbite or a gotcha moment. I really want news that shows me sort of the multiple dimensions of a story, that seeks information from multiple sources and doesn't tell me how to think. It just presents the issues, and I really appreciate that. Being a sustaining member of a service like KAWC takes the mystery out of it for me. So I know that I am supporting every month. I also know that I don't have to remember to sit down and write a check at the end of the year or a budget for a check at the end of the year, right? It's kind of coming out of my account every month, and that makes me feel a little bit like I'm part of the team. I'm Lori Stoft from Arizona Western College, and I'm a proud supporter of KAWC Yuma.
Bopping to the new beats heard around the world, or relaxing to the tunes of Memory Lane. We are your non-commercial source of music. Run by volunteer hosts, this is KOFA Border Radio, 94.7 FM, 1320 AM, on the COFA app, or at borderradioaz.org.
What's up, Yuma? I'm Victor Calderon. I'm here with Alexandra Rangel, and our next guests are Laura Torres, Youth and Family Services Director with Campesinos Sin Fronteras, and Eric Luzania, Program Coordinator for the To Thrive Initiative. Thank you both for being here this morning.
Thank you for having us.
So before we get into what you do with your programs, we could like to get to know our guests. So Laura, we'll start with you. I know you are from here. I know you at least went to high school here, but were you born here in Yuma County?
I was, yes. I was born at Yuma Regional Medical Center before it was on Vida.
Yeah.
I grew up here, went to Crane School District, and then went to Cibola High School, graduated in 2004, and then I graduated from U of A. Proud Wildcat.
Bear down.
And yes. But I've been here.
So our listeners and viewers may know your last name, or they may know your mom is Emma Torres, and she started the Campesinos Sin Fronteras group. Remind our listeners what Campesinos, what the focus is and who it helps.
Yeah, so Campesinos Sin Fronteras is primarily in South Yuma County, right? So Somerton and San Luis, and our focus is farm workers and their families. And so whether that's advocacy for them, just in different areas of healthcare, of education, we're kind of a resource hub for them to come and find the resources that they may need. With English and Spanish translations, and just always advocating for their rights and as well as their families' rights and education. And so we get to now incorporate a lot of the youth and family services with their families, and that's what we're here to talk about today.
So one of the events that Campesinos puts on every year is the Dia del Campesino.
Yes.
That's the farm worker health services fair, and they can get their blood pressure checks and all sorts of services and goods. You and I have talked out there, and I know you talked about growing up watching your mom start Campesinos and with a team, right? Not just her, but others. Yes. But talk about what that was like for you as a young girl growing up, watching your mom as a woman leading, helping to lead this group.
I didn't get it. I didn't understand why I needed to be up out of bed, at midnight, prepping and picking up pots of menudo, for this event. And I was a teenager, so I wanted to be in bed. I didn't want to be, sometimes I would just sleep in the back of the car until people started showing up, and then the party started because there was always live music. So that always got me out. But at first I didn't get it. I didn't understand, what we were doing. And obviously the more that I grew up in it and saw that, this was an event put on for farm workers specifically at that time of night, was because that's the time they were going to work, right? And so it was, in social services, it's all about meeting people where they are. So that's where we were. We were at on Main Street in San Luis, Arizona at 3 a.m. is typically when we open doors. And so they come in for a warm meal, and then they get all the health services that they otherwise wouldn't get, because if you miss a day of work, you don't get paid for that day of work. So a lot of people just rather work, and then kind of, forget or neglect about their health. And so they get those free health screenings, those vaccinations. Again, it's a party. There's always live music, so they get some entertainment, and as well as that warm meal. And always, with the best collaboration from partners in the community. What started as an event that Campesinos hosted is now an event that is hosted by a coalition of people who, want to contribute to, to this community who puts veggies on our table, right?
Yeah.
So, it's grown. We get about 3,000 to 5,000 people just in that 2-hour span, and then they get to work. they always look forward to the raffles that we have as well. And every year we try to increase the amount of raffles that we provide. Bikes are the most popular raffle. And, we also do like household items. Everybody gets a blanket. DES helps with the collection of those blankets. So it's a big collaborative now that, has grown to over 40 different partners who contribute to this event. And yeah, it's a staple for our community.
And so going off of that, I know, our, standard is that offices and healthcare offices are open like 9 to 5, right? Or maybe 8 to 5.
Correct.
But if these workers are working in the fields or they're getting home, they're tired, that's why this is good to offer these services to them before they get on the buses to go out to the fields and, pick our crops and work, get everything like that. All right, so Eric, let's find out about yourself. Are you from Yuma County, or where are you from?
Yes, sir. I was born here in Yuma, Arizona as well, raised in San Luis, Arizona. I attended Gadsden Elementary School District all my elementary and middle school years. I went to San Luis High School, and I'm also a proud AWC alumni. I came here and I played soccer for Coach Dale.
Okay.
Then I transferred out in 2011 to a small Christian school in West Texas by the name of Wayland Baptist University, and that's where I graduated, and then I spent some time over there. COVID happened, and then I decided to come back home, and that's when I got the opportunity to hop on board with Campesinos mission, and I've been with them ever since for the last 6 years.
Yeah, so did you know about Campesinos being in San Luis? Like, were you aware of them, like the services or the like events like the Dia del Campesino?
I had heard a lot of Campesinos Sin Fronteras, but I was never aware of the magnitude of the work that they did. Like Laura mentioned, right, we have multiple services, but I had just heard of Campesinos. I thought they just strictly focus on the field workers, but now that I've had the opportunity to get involved, I see that it's much bigger than that. So, but yeah, Campesinos has been around, and they're really well known in our community.
So you're the program coordinator for the To Thrive initiative. So tell our listeners and viewers what that is.
So the To Thrive initiative, our team consists of 12 facilitators where we go into the Gadsden Elementary School District. We also work with Somerton School District, and now currently we're with San Pascual High School. And we just go out there with the youth. We work with them. We collaborate with them where we teach a curriculum to reduce teen pregnancy rate prevention and also high school dropout rate. So we're out there hanging out with kids, showing them resources, and also providing that sense of purpose to make sure that everybody has the same opportunities and equals opportunities to grow at the same time.
And I don't think you mentioned, but there's also an anti-bullying component of that. Can you share what that is?
Correct, yes. As I first started, I was a facilitator back in 2020. I had the opportunity to work with a young individual by the name of Violeta Acosta, where we go and we teach a lesson that's called Becoming an Upstander. She thought that the lesson was not enough, so she took the initiative to talk to her principal, which became a anti-bully march where we walked to the district office supporting the movement against bullying, which now has transformed into a proclamation where every October we unite with all the schools in the Gadsden Elementary School District and we walk in unification to promote the anti-bully movement.
And so you're both involved in youth programs. Talk about how it is to reach the youth, right? Because that's the challenge, because we all know kids like screens, right? And you're a mom, so you got to get those kids' attention. So how do you, when you go into the schools, obviously it might be different, right? Because there's an assembly or something. But how do you get the kids' attention on these, important issues of like anti-bullying, anti-teen pregnancy?
We like to just raise the awareness on the topics that we go and we teach. We know that social media right now is a big thing, and we use it to our advantage. Nowadays, schools have Chromebooks, they have iPads, so we like to collaborate with their devices as well. We make them feel like they belong in the sense that we make them use those devices. So it's pretty awesome to see how impactful it could be to work with the youth, let alone give them that opportunity to shine at the same time. So just being there with them, we go and we take over a whole day in class, and we get to connect with them throughout the whole school year. So we just see the growth from the month of September all the way till May, and that's where we come in, we interact, we hang out. But more importantly, we give them those different resources that they can take on after they go to school with us to promote the services and continue being those leaders for our future.
Yeah. So Laura, you mentioned growing up, wondering, why your mom and dad and family and all these people were getting up so early to, go out and help these workers. What made you decide to join the campesinos. I know it's like a family effort as well. Your dad Rogelio's out there as well. Talk about how you decided to join with the youth program, and maybe you did something. You were part of that maybe growing up.
Yeah, I was a part of it growing up. I was a part of the very first. It was an anti-drug or anti-tobacco coalition for youth. So being in the youth work. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted to be there. It was kind of like, my mom was like, well, you have to hang out with me because, there's no one at home to be with you. So that's how it started. And then, slowly my passion for being a part of those groups, just continued. So I've been a part of Campesinos with youth programs and youth coalitions and volunteer work ever since, I was about 12 years old. And, the opportunity to travel came up. So that was cool. For youth, from Yuma, a lot of us didn't really get to travel outside of Arizona. So it was just a cool opportunity. My brother was a part of it as well. I think he got to travel to Boston. And actually, he got to travel to Boston, I think, with Judge Scarlett now. So Scarlett was a part of our youth programs as well. And now she's the judge over in San Luis, Arizona. So I think, for me, working with youth now, I learned that I think empathy is the way to engage students and youth. And so a big component of what we do is community service learning. So, and another big component is using youth voice. So not giving them the projects to do, but asking them what type of need or idea they have, for their community, what they'd like to see. And so they come up with the ideas and we just help them facilitate those service projects. So that's how it started back in the day as well. Tobacco used to be a big issue. Pregnancy used to be a big issue. I was in 8th grade and had a few friends who became pregnant when we were in 8th grade. So Yuma was on the map for all the wrong reasons, right? We had the highest teenage pregnancy rate in the nation. And so that's how Campesinos started getting more services for youth specifically. So we ran with it. So we've been partnering with the state. We've been partnering with federal programs as well, with the focus of reducing teen pregnancy, even though rates have definitely decreased. We still see, some incidences of STDs and STIs. And so those are things we want to work with. However, in doing what we're doing, we're eliminating so many other risk factors for the youth. So they're, staying away from drugs, they're staying away from alcohol. They're making more of those healthy choices and,
staying
engaged through different community programs. So we get to work with the schools directly in the classrooms. So, it's not that we need to necessarily go out and recruit, but even our peer program where we get to have peers work alongside us as interns, they recruit themselves. There's not much work that we have to do because they want to be a part of that change as well. So, it's really neat to just see their drive and their desire to, want to see their community grow. And it's been great to be able to work with Gadsden School District and Somerton. And like Eric mentioned, now San Pasqual. San Pasqual is a community that we don't really get to
work with
much. So, we saw that as a need and they were on board. And so now we get to work with them as well.
Well, thank you both very much for the work that you and your team does. Very important. So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we'll talk about an event that's coming up, Campesinos is a part of. So we'll take a break and we'll be back on What's Up Yuma Radio.
This is folk singer Michael Jonathan. Join us as we celebrate the music of your front porch with teenage guitar master and thumb-picking champion Isaac Beaver, and performing in the shadow of Bonnie Raitt, Magnolia Boulevard. Both artists, music, and conversation on this week's broadcast of the Wood Song Old Time Radio Hour.
This evening at 7 p.m. on KOFA Border Radio 94.7 FM. Above normal temperatures continue for this week in Yuma, Parker, and Quartzsite. We expect a sunny day with an afternoon high of about 96 degrees. Winds are calm, but becoming 5 miles per hour out of the north-northwest in Yuma and Quartzsite and out of the southwest in Parker. Tonight, clear skies with a low about 62 degrees.
Yuma Crossing National Heritage Area hosts Speakeasy Night on Saturday, April 25th from 7 to 10 p.m. at Yuma Territorial Prison State Historic Park. Guests can dress for the occasion, wander the historic grounds, and step back in time as the prison transforms into a roaring 20s speakeasy. Details at yumaheritage.com/events.
KOFA Border Radio doesn't sound like any other radio station in Yuma. We are a non-commercial source for music from around the world, across the decades and local artists. Our hosts are volunteers. If you would like to get involved, send an email to music@borderradioaz.org.
What's up, Yuma? We're back with Laura and Eric from Campesinos Sin Fronteras. And so talk about some other programs. So there's obviously the youth programs, but talk about other programs and services and events like the Dia del Campesino. But what else would you like to highlight for Campesinos Sin Fronteras?
One of our also popular programs that we currently have a wait list for is our housing rehabilitation program. So elderly that may have some roofing issues or air conditioning issues, some emergency situations, they can apply for assistance. And we collaborate with USDA on that. And so there's some loans that we apply for, and we get to work with the clients to get them those services. We also have a grant with the Office of Violence Against Women, and that one is for farm working women specifically, and they get to come in and, report if they want to, or just have support services for them to, have a safe space, to know where to go in San Luis and Somerton.
Isn't there also a march? I think there's a march involved with that, like against domestic violence, like the Purple March or something like that?
There's a few of them. There's two. There's the denim walk that we collaborate with the different coalitions in the community, and then the domestic violence walk that is done, and that's also it ends with the vigil, and so that one is done with the different coalitions in Somerton and San Luis and Yuma.
And these resources, are they only for farm working families, or is it anyone in the community?
Anybody in the community. Again, it started, as a need for farm workers, and then we just saw that the need was bigger than that. So anyone who is in need of these services, and typically low to low income, moderate income clients.
One thing we were talking about in the break is the heat. We're obviously already entering those hot temperatures. I know the field work kind of decreases, but there's still workers out there. So how do you guys handle some of that? And advocating, right, for some of those protections.
Against like heat safety.
Yeah,
heat safety.
I mean, the extent of our work is really always prevention education, and so we go and we teach and partner with the farmers, and they allow us to come in and speak and educate the farm workers on how to protect themselves from that, what to wear, how often to hydrate and whatnot, and so. They're really supportive of us, and the ones who do that work are the promotoras, and those are the community health workers, and so they get to again go out there where they are and educate just on like the heat stress, on health. Again, a lot of times they just don't have the time to go seek those medical services. So the promotoras will also go do glucose screenings for them. They also do cholesterol screenings, and so we typically try to partner with a medical agency that can come with us to provide those services, so that they don't have to wait for Dia del Campesino.
Yeah. So we want to talk about an event that's coming up April 14th. So tell our listeners and viewers about the DREAM event.
Yes, that's in collaboration with Arizona at Work. We, like Laura mentioned, we have a peer educators component where we recruit up to 18 youth in our communities, and 6 of those, they're called our peer leaders, and they do all the civic action work involving in community service. So they're going to be doing an unveiling at the Martin Luther King Center here in Yuma, where they're going to be showcasing their art and representation to what that movement means to them. And it's just really impactful just to see how our youth keeps planting the seed. I always call them our future leaders, right? So it's pretty cool to see them involved in our communities and just showcasing their work.
You work in the schools. How was it seeing some of these students who are protesting? Did you get to talk to any of the students who were involved in the recent protests with immigration and ICE?
No, I didn't have the opportunity to, but we do know that we have a big movement going on. I know that we have a lot of advocates in our communities, and we always, like I keep mentioning, we always like to give them their voice, and we just keep promoting their sense of purpose, keep making sure that they're promoting that civic action. That's one of our biggest components in our initiative. So just supporting them in any way, in any shape we can, is always good, and just really resourceful for them.
Yeah, because we've talked about it's important for young people to get involved, right? Because we want to hear from them, we want them to be involved, and I always respect the youth that are more involved and not, on their screens or not on their TikTok or their Instagram account. They're actually going out and advocating for students. I think I met someone that was involved with campesinos when Senator Ruben Gallego was in San Luis. He got up and spoke. I think his name is Junior. I can't think of the last. Junior Figueroa, maybe?
Yes. Junior is one of our peers as well. He's been involved with multiple camps with us in San Luis, and he's a young, powerful man. He's always advocating for his community, and he's always making sure that their voices are being heard.
Right. And so I think one of the things he mentioned, he went up to Phoenix, to the state capitol, and he was talking about river, the Colorado River, and water, importance of water conservation, and making sure that while we're also conserving water, we're also making sure that our community has water, right? And we're not losing those water rights.
Yes. That's just one of the many opportunities that they've had the opportunity to go and showcase their voice.
Mm-hmm.
But Junior's just one prime example. We have, like I said, we have 17 other peers where they're really involved in their community, and they're always out there, like I keep mentioning, advocating, not just for them, but for everybody that's right behind them as well.
So, Laura, I want to say it's good to have you here today. You're in town, but you have a longer commute these days of sort,
I do.
So share with our listeners, you're in Utah?
I am. I'm in Utah now. I fell in love and got married, and so now I'm in Utah, and I get to still fortunately support the programs part-time, and I get to come, when we have important events and meetings, and still get to meet with the team. But I'm still very much connected to our funders, and I'm in the reporting and admin work, so I don't get to do all of the fun things that are always going on, but I get to be here for some of it, which is really cool.
Yeah. And as we talked about, so it's a family effort at Campesinos. It's your mom, it's your dad Rogelio, and everyone else is like a family with the promotoras. Yes. and everyone else who has joined the team over the years. Also the radio program Radio Sin Fronteras. We had Christian recently.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's still going. So talk about the radio program and how people can get information on that.
So the radio, if you're a nonprofit and you want to come and talk about an event, you want to come and talk about your services, you are welcome to come on at no cost. And that's just something, as a nonprofit that we've always tried to do. And so this radio station was a great opportunity for us to continue providing that prevention education that I was mentioning. If you drive by some of those fields, the cuadrillas, they'll have the radio blasting. Mm-hmm. And so we definitely do music, but we also do education on that show. Mari Figueroa is one of the locutoras, and so she'll do conversations on marriage relationships, on family relationships and dynamics, and we have Lolita who does nutrition, and so there's just different topics on the radio that anybody could listen in on at any time and either get music or education, but it's fully Spanish. It's done in Spanish, and then we are hoping to incorporate the youth on some sort of bilingual show coming up. They want to do a podcast and radio, but it's just been a great opportunity for us to be able to, keep promoting our services as well as everybody in the community.
Yeah. So we have about a minute and a half, but tell our listeners and viewers where they can get information, the website for Campesinos, the radio station, the youth programs.
Yeah, if you guys go to our campesinosinfronteras.org, you guys are going to see all the different programs that we offer through there. Obviously, like you mentioned, we have a Radio Sin Fronteras, which is 99.9. Tune in, and amongst that, I'd also like to give the opportunity. We have a youth conference coming up May 8th here in collaboration with Arizona Western College, where we host up to 350 youth in our community, where we promote optimal health, and the focus is to make sure that everybody gets the resources they need. But our socials are at campesinosinfronteras.org. We have Facebook, Instagram, and our CSF Youth is also on Instagram as well.
Anything else you wanted to mention on that?
No, I think he got it. So yeah, follow us on our webpage for events coming up. We also have our summer programs coming up for youth. So we just have a lot of events. We have a parent conference coming up as well. And we do have space limited on that one. And all of our services are free. So we don't, none of the programs that we offer are of any charge. And in some cases, people get incentives for participating. So those are all the things.
All right, Laura Torres, Eric Luzania, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you again for the work that you both do and your teams do, because it's very important that you do this work with the community and you're helping these teens and keep them out of trouble and keeping them focused, or getting in good trouble, right, as we say.
Yes.
Good trouble. All right, and with that, I have to do the legal read. So What's Up Yuma Radio is a production of KAWC. We broadcast from studios in the Matador Activities Center at Arizona Western College in Yuma. We want to thank our engineer, Talon Gonzalez, along with Juan Garcia, Cecilia Holland Braithwaite, Anthony Ornelas, and Dave Reek. And you can find out more about KOFA at borderradioaz.org and on the KOFA app. Stay tuned for KOFA's Midday Music. On tomorrow's program, we will have Kyle Isaacs. He's the men's basketball coach here at Arizona Western College. And we'll talk about Yuma's national champion, Yaxel Lindeborg, just won the championship for Michigan. And we'll also have Christian Magana. He's the Public Information Officer for the City of Yuma. And again, thank you, Alexander, for being my co-host.
Thank you.
Hope you're having fun and hope it's been a good experience for you.
Yeah, of course, always.
We're not used to this, live radio.
No, yeah.
We do our interviews, and we do sometimes with like pledge drives we get on for live radio, but it's a little different beast when you have like a streaming when you have cameras on you, right?
Yeah, but you're getting really good at this, Victor.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying every day to get better. But yeah, if you want to be on the show, reach out to us. What's Up Yuma Radio at gmail.com, and catch us tomorrow.
What's Up Yuma is sponsored by High Tanks Brewing Company, serving up scratch-made food, craft beers, and experiences at 2 desert locations in Welton. More at hightanks.com.